The best defense against enemy propaganda is truth.
The Biden administration recognizes absolutely no limit to its power to micromanage every aspect of our lives. You will live the way the control-freak bureaucrats want, whether you like it or not. And now they've decided that your washing machine, your dishwasher, your microwave, your kitchen stove, your refrigerator, all of it has to go. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is fact. The climate cult is coming for all of that and more.
Here is target number 1 for the Reds. And who's in the bullseye? You are.
Hi, everyone. Jim Lakely here, Vice President of the Heartland Institute, with another climate realism video. I'm going to try to do my best to not get an explicit content warning on this video by keeping the swearing down to a minimum. So wish me luck.
This business will get out of control. It'll get out of control and we'll be lucky to live through it.
Before I get into it, give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment, no matter how short. Those simple tasks help our videos, despite YouTube's bias against the topics we cover, be the ones the algorithm recommends to other people. Okay, now let's get into it. The lead story of a recent edition of the Washington Times by the great reporter Susan Ferricchio carries this headline: Biden seeks to turn entirety of homes green, manufacturers of appliances warn of lower performance. It's not just your gas stove that the Biden administration is seeking to regulate in the name of combating climate change. It's coming for your entire home. President Biden's green energy goals have resulted in an array of new efficiency rules for a slew of household appliances, including microwaves and toothbrush charges. Even those, you hear that, everyone? You're even cleaning your teeth the wrong way. The effort is forcing manufacturers to produce more costly products that they say reverse innovation by decades and potentially eliminate thousands of U.S. jobs. We're going to just stop here for a second. Do you know why the manufacturers are saying this? Because it's the truth. Because every single thing that's been improved in performance and efficiency is just not enough. You see that Energy Star sticker affixed to your fridge or your washing machine? That's not good enough anymore. Instantly, across the board, and it's mandatory, are brand new regulations. We continue. Biden administration officials are touting the rules as part of the goal to take 100 actions, quote, to strengthen efficiency standards for a range of appliances and equipment to lower costs for American families. Combined, the plethora of rules would save the average family $100 annually by lowering energy bills. 100 actions. Why not 50? Why not 200? Why not 1,000? Better yet, why not 0? This number of 100 was just pulled out of the air. It's a nice round number for the Biden administration and their bureaucrats to not just look busy, but to actually do something. In this case, making extinct the appliances you have in your home right now. And this is not going to, quote, lower the cost for American families. It's going to make appliances more expensive, yet crappier. Industry leaders say the rules come with steep upfront costs for consumers and negatively impact performance. Rather than innovating features sought by consumers, the ramped-up regulations for appliances are forcing manufacturers to go backward, said Jill Notini, a spokeswoman for the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. Quote, they are literally going to have to redesign products that will look closer to the 1950s than they do to 2020. Well, I have a retro-looking 50s fridge in my garage. I quite like it, but I chose to buy it. It wasn't forced on me because government made it the only one available on the market, and there's a big difference. And manufacturers say they're shocked by all this.
I'm shocked.
Because previous administrations worked with them before putting out new rules. You know, the routine regulatory capture of industry. Glad handing it with regulators to make sure that the new regulations are feasible before forcing them to do it. That's a tactic that the bigs in all industries get, to establish a competitive advantage. But that didn't happen this time. The climate cult radicals just decided we're not playing that game anymore. We're setting a hurdle that looks like the high jump bar, and you better clear it or die. We're going to skip ahead a bit. One industry executive described the cascade of regulations as, quote, an avalanche and unprecedented in stringency and scope. The standards proposed by the Energy Department would eliminate 98% of all top-loading washing machines on the market today. One manufacturer said the efficiency standard would add $200 to the cost of a top-loading machine. Manufacturers are also grappling with energy rules for microwave ovens that would reduce power usage in standby mode. To meet the new caps, manufacturers say they might eliminate backlighting and display clocks that remain lit while the microwave is not in use, and some higher-end sensors that improve performance. See, this new microwave rule is a great example of the insanity of these new regulations. How much energy do you think is used to keep the clock display going on your microwave? I bet you've never thought about that for 1 second in your entire life. But the climate radicals in the federal bureaucracy have. It probably keeps them up at night. but the amount obviously is very tiny. But you see, if 100 million microwaves didn't have constant time displays, that would start to add up and would get us a minuscule percentage of the way towards our goal of net zero emissions, and every little bit counts. That is the thinking of an ideologue, a crazy person who has the power to rule our lives without a vote, without our consent. It is not normal. It is un-American and is not the way we are meant to live our lives. The Energy Department is also ramping up efficiency standards for refrigerators by requiring more expensive compressors and insulation components that will raise costs and possibly reduce interior space. New efficiency rules are also coming for appliance chargers, air conditioners, purifiers, and gas stoves. Wait a minute. That can't be. I was told not too long ago by none other than the top Democrat in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, that the government is most certainly not coming for your gas stoves. That's more lies and more gaslighting, trying to convince us all that we can't even trust our own eyes and ears. Also, hey, all you smartphone users, appliance chargers includes your iPhone and your iPad and all your screens, so enjoy that one. We'll skip ahead just a bit. Industry insiders accuse the Department of Energy of ignoring manufacturing data on cost and performance and not backing down on the stringency or the swift pace of the new regulations as they work to meet Mr. Biden's aggressive plan to reduce emissions and combat climate change. Again, these are zealots in charge of your life, every bit of it. You can't live the way you have anymore. To save the climate. Meanwhile, China builds 2 new coal plants every week, and India laughs in the United Nations' face. None of this, none, will change the global temperature by 2100. It's all a scam. The administration is also rushing to comply with a lawsuit it settled with environmental groups over missed deadlines for updating energy efficiency standards during the Trump administration, though the deadline does not require stricter standards. Much of the rules will be finalized by next year. That gives manufacturers until 2027 to comply with them. This is another scam. This is the sue and settle scam. When a radical climate leftist is in the White House, well-funded environmental groups sue the EPA over some bullshit that it needs to regulate beyond its original scope. Instead of fighting it in court, the EPA, under a climate cultist president like the one we have now, settles the case and makes the desires of the radical environmental group law by administrative fiat. It is an unassailable scam, like having the dealer in blackjack showing not only his cards, but the next card you're going to get. I can think of not one example of groups on the right doing this in concert with the federal government. Our side just does not do this stuff. Continuing. A top executive at one of the nation's leading manufacturers who requested anonymity to speak freely about the rules said appliance makers are overwhelmed by the onslaught of new requirements impacting 10 product categories. Quote, "We've never had that many rules with compliance dates at the same time. And the magnitude of the standards are very stringent, something we haven't seen before." This right here is so infuriating. This executive should be proudly out there declaring the truth that these regulations will make your life worse. We are going backwards. This guy should be publicly communicating with Americans, rallying them against the radicals in the Biden administration. It's up to the Heartland Institute to publicly tell you what's going on, why, and how it will affect your life. Here come all those savings the Biden administration is promising from their strict new regulations. You're always going to come out ahead. Are you ready for the details? Here we go. Energy savings for individual consumers would be small. The new washing machine rules would save less than $8 annually, and the clothes dryer efficiency standards would save $36 a year, according to the Energy Department.
By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings.
Did you get that? New washing machine rules, which will make it harder actually to get your clothes clean, will save you over a full year less than it costs to have a Big Mac meal at McDonald's. In exchange for the energy savings, clothes would take much longer to dry, increasing the potential for fabric damage, Whirlpool executives warned in a letter to the Energy Department. The washing machine savings, they said, would come with longer cycle times, more noise and vibration, an increase in tangled clothes, and less effective cleaning because of the lower water and temperature allowances. The upfront cost increases for appliances to meet the standards will impact lower income consumers the most, manufacturers said, because they target lower priced items that are less energy efficient, such as refrigerators with freezers on top, which make about 50% of the refrigerator market. So, it's no big deal. Only half of all the refrigerators currently sold in America will be priced out of the market, but Biden and the left care about working people and the poor. Sure. Top-loading washers are typically less expensive than the more energy-efficient front-loading machines, which are rebounding in popularity, don't know why, And lower cost dryers that do not meet Energy Star requirements would be pushed out of the market entirely. Here we go again. Who cares what people want? Screw them. And they could put their wet clothes out on the line in the open air like we did 50 and 100 years ago, before modernity allowed us to do our laundry quickly and easily so we could get on with our lives and doing more important things, like actually having a fun and good life. And I told you this was coming, and here it is. The Washington Times reached out to Andrew Delaski, executive director of the Appliance Standards Awareness Project. They are in favor of the new rules, and Delaski said the energy cost savings might seem small, but it will add up. Quote, standards can be particularly beneficial for saving money for low-income households, Delaski said. He pointed to the proposed refrigerator rules as an example. Quote, according to the Department of Energy, most low-income households have a refrigerator with a freezer on top. Of the low-income households with this type of refrigerator, Department of Energy estimates that 75% are renters, meaning that they don't incur the cost of purchasing a refrigerator, yet most of the time they accrue the electricity bill savings.
You big dummy!
There's no free lunch. The landlord isn't going to eat the expense of having to install a new fridge that will now be less reliable because it has to adhere to these new standards that don't make any sense. He's passing that on in higher rent. Someone incurs the cost, and it's always the guy at the end of the cost stream. In this case, the renter. The Biden administration also calculates the financial savings as a whole for everyone who buys the new appliances and promotes the total energy savings for the entire nation. Well, I guess that's how they got their whole Happy Meal annual cost savings with the new standards for the washing machines. The washing machines will actually cost you more too. So that savings is fake, and it's reversed because you'll find yourself having to wash smaller loads, which means more washings that take longer to do, which means more energy use. You can't reinvent reality, guys. This is the way the world works. Just a couple more bits. Once finalized, Biden officials said in a statement, the rules will cut greenhouse gas emissions by an estimated 2.4 billion metric tons, quote, equivalent to the carbon emissions from 10 million homes, 17 million gas cars, or 21 coal-fired power plants over 30 years. So let's sit back and think about this for a minute. 10 million homes. There are about 10 million households in Florida. So it'd be like taking Florida off the map as far as emissions are concerned. 17 million cars. There are 280 million registered personal and commercial vehicles on the road in America today. So 17 million cars is 6% of all of our vehicles. And there are some 220 coal plants operating currently in the United States. So taking 21 coal plants off the grid, and we're already about to do that under Biden's EPA rules now, would be taking about 9% of those offline. Over 30 years. That's seeing results by the government's own measure in 2053. And all of this, outlawing your gas stove, your regular car, making your washing machine, your dryer, your dishwasher, not get anything clean and dry the way you want it, for such a minuscule benefit in 30 years. And a benefit, by the way, that China wipes out in 1 year in emissions, if not a few months of emissions. And two last important bits. Buried in the Energy Department's analysis are troubling figures for the nation's manufacturing sector. The department has calculated that new rules for washers, dryers, and refrigerators alone could cumulatively cost the manufacturing industry more than 16,000 U.S. jobs. If manufacturers move to countries with cheaper labor, they also crunch the numbers to show jobs could increase in the U.S. if manufacturers stay put. Fat fucking chance. I knew I couldn't get through this without swearing. That's actually my second swear word. But even the Energy Department, which is pushing this insanity, acknowledges it will cost 16,000 jobs. Of course, it was going to be more. That estimate is got to be low. Of course, the Energy Department buried this fact, so good on Susan Ferricchio for bringing it out. One last bit from the story. Manufacturers don't want to make that choice and are not giving up on a compromise. They continue to urge Energy Department officials to work out less stringent standards on the rules that are still under consideration, including washing machines, dryers, and refrigerators. The talks may include environmental groups who are pressuring the department to maintain stricter standards. Quote, what we're trying to do is pull them back and say we're trying to find something reasonable here that doesn't really hurt consumers, that doesn't really have those negative impacts on cost and utility, the manufacturing insider said. We are trying to get them to the table to have discussions about that, and we might work with other stakeholders as well to try to come to a more reasonable compromise here. See, again, this is the problem. The environmental left are not stakeholders. They are destructors of our progress, our ever better way of life. They are regressives, and they have so long infected the federal bureaucracy that they ultimately dominate it and have for decades, especially when they have a senile puppet as president for whom fellow travelers on the radical left make policy. They set this logical result of policy in motion. so forgive me for not having a ton of sympathy for them. I have a lot more for consumers, though. We are not free in this country as long as unelected bureaucrats can set arbitrary rules for every aspect of our lives with impunity. Congress needs to rein in the Energy Department right now and pass a bill that makes clear that these Energy Star ratings are voluntary, which is what most consumers think they are as they walk through Home Depot. You must be able to choose to buy a more energy efficient appliance if you want it, not forced to, because a government bureaucrat says you have to, and to buy things that don't work as well as the old ones and are more expensive to boot. The bureaucrat's choice must not be your only choice. But these Biden rules will now make a crappier life mandatory. When government is forcing you to take action, you live in a tyranny. When government leaves you alone to make your own rational choices, you live in freedom. And yes, this may seem like a small thing. It's only a washing machine, Jim. It's only a dishwasher. Lighten up. But you see, it's exactly because this is a small thing that makes it a big thing. If the government can control the flow of water out of your shower head and your toilet, ban certain light bulbs, ban the sale of cars, stop the use of gas stoves, and ban the manufacture of the microwave and washing machine you have in your house right now, then they feel they can do anything. The bureaucrats in these agencies recognize absolutely no limits on what they see as their sacred duty to run your life for the greater good. And it seems that no detail of your everyday life is too small to pass their attention, because they think you are living your life wrong. Their collective vision is the truth. You must comply, see, and they will force you to do it.
How about no?
Resist.
What will you do without freedom?
Thanks for watching. Help support the Heartland Institute so we can produce more videos like this one, pushing back on the infringements of your liberty. Go to heartland.org, and there's a donor link in the description of this video. Also, give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment no matter how short. As noted before, those simple tasks help our videos get through the bans that YouTube has on content like this so that the algorithm will actually like it. I'm Jim Lakely, Vice President of the Heartland Institute. Stay tuned to this channel, and we'll see you next time.
By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings.
The best defense against enemy propaganda is truth.